I got pajama pants on. I'll show you guys if you guys ask. I got striped, comfortable pajama pants on. I'm just living the good life right now. I'm just gonna turn chat on so I can see everybody. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Hope everybody is doing good. Hi, everybody. Hello, Duck. Hello, Duck, says everybody as they come in, I think, or something. Yeah, say hello to me. Say hello to me. Coach me up, coach. Yeah, I titled the stream, The Future is Optimistic. Sort of impulsively. But I was out, I bought some groceries today. That's always buying groceries isn't like about the future, right? It's about like a week, right? It's about like a week. You imagine, for me, my like man brain, my boy brain imagines stuff I don't want to eat, stuff I do want to eat. I never know what I'm actually going to eat. But yeah, it just reminded me that there's stuff to look forward to. There's stuff to look forward to in the future. There's both little and small stuff to look forward to. Obviously we're on social media, so everybody is sort of on their grind, doing stuff. And so it's just cool. You see small brands at the grocery store become big brands. Very lame, right? Very doomer, very boomer of me. I'm 35, so I won't try to lie to you. Hey, what's up? Whoever's tapping those reacts in chat, it's so good to see you. And it's cool, but the coffee I used to buy, so this is so silly. The coffee I used to buy used to be like $6.50 or something. $6.50 would last me a couple weeks. Yeah, I make cold brew coffee sometimes. It takes a lot of coffee to make cold brew. And today it's the coffee I used to buy was $10.18. Not all coffees had gone up in price. Maybe that's inflation, but I see it as, look, if I'm wrong, if this is the price of eggs, the price of groceries, who knows? Maybe I have to consider that. But seeing coffee go up in price, that's one thing. It's different, The future is optimistic, and that's cool. What else? I was gonna go out and spend all of my money, a pot of black coffee a day here. Okay. Yeah, so we don't really know each other that well, Beto. We know we both like philosophy and physics and stuff, but I know a little more about you. Hell yeah. I used to have a Keurig, actually, one of those automatic coffee makers, and I ended up switching back to like one of those like Black & Decker, make a pot of coffee and then you have coffee. And then I'm also in Arizona, so I can make sun-brewed tea. That's another fun one. I like sun-brewed tea as well. Yeah. This is kind of like a PED because I do some working out on YouTube too. If you guys ever want to catch one of those, like and subscribe or whatever, whatever. We can get to know each other first before you tap like, before you tap the subscribe button. I wouldn't blame you. I won't hold it against you. If I'm being completely honest, a thug, a gangster like me could perhaps. No, but I'm going on about, I think 20 hours or so of a fast. I had a big pot of coffee today, went for a run. I did a couple pull-ups at the park. And yeah, that stuff doesn't change in the future either, right? That's crazy. Blue Hue, what's up? Blue Hue says, once prices go up without regulation, the consumer becomes desensitized. And the market has no incentive to retract. The market has no incentive to retract. Yeah. Companies in economic terms are always seeking price equilibrium. The really strict, almost like dogmatic capitalists say, well, it's a law of nature, it's like physics that, this is the other part of price equilibrium is that, you always have, enough. If you're a YouTube creator or something, and you're not sure if you should, the YouTube creator, should put a donation link, a PayPal link. What capitalism says is that if people are willing to pay for your product, maybe you mess it up, maybe you goof, you put it too late, you don't ask for enough, you ask for too much, but you should know enough. You should know enough by looking at other YouTubers to answer your own question about how people on YouTube get money. And so that's just as true for people making coffee. Really good comment. Trace Parallax says, how do you mean the future is optimistic, though? I'd like to hear your perspective. I'm trying to figure it out. I'll be completely honest. I'm trying to figure it out here, too. No, the place I used to go to a thrift store to buy running shoes, and I was a little upset today. I sound like such a consumer, an American, but the shoes I was trying to buy at this used store used to be $15 for a decent pair of shoes, and they were all priced at like $80, $90 today. Used shoes. It is like a high-end thrift store. And so maybe because I'm fasting right now, it's pretty cool. No offense. But maybe there's this idea that there's good things that can change and some things just don't change. If you have a pot of black coffee, like Beto mentioned in chat, that's how I do it. Yeah, you're cheating a little bit, you're going to cheat the hangman, but at the same time, what else can we talk about the future being optimistic? I don't imagine the $10 coffee has to get worse. It doesn't have to get better, but I don't know. Maybe we can figure it out. Hey, Pat Cricket, good to see you again. Jim, good to see you guys again. A couple folks that subscribe to the channel. Good to see you guys. Jim says, increasing our trade revenue magically became a bad thing when you know who stepped up and did something bold. You're going to have to expand on that one a little bit. I don't know that much about trade revenue. One story that is a little optimistic is, seeing, so Mexico used to have a pretty crappy economy. It did a lot of shipping because Mexico's got a lot of coastlines, this and that, whatever it was, agriculture, this kind of stuff. And when Bill Clinton signed the NAFTA free trade agreement, they opened up a lot more factories and stuff called maquiladoras. Basically, these almost like an economic zone is sort of one way to say it. And yeah, people in the US might not like this. So we'll table this. And so, yeah, this is cool. One of my former coworkers, interestingly, actually went to college to become an industrial engineer, So just seeing something like that, how like a policy that someone can write and people mixing with technology. Now I meet someone from Mexico in Canada. I'm in the US now, by the way, but I worked at a company in Canada, and I meet someone that moves to Canada because they were an industrial engineer. That's a cool story, right? That story might not have happened if Bill Clinton, President Clinton at the time, didn't sign the NAFTA free trade agreement. I don't know. Yeah, and so the way I feel about it is there's more good than bad, right? I'm happy. I'm happy some other time, or if you guys want to leave bad stuff to dig up about the future or about that story, I'm happy to get into it. But hey, Brian, Jesus Christ died for many, but living in sin is separating many from the Father. Seek the Lord in all ways and turn from sinful habits because it's ultimately too late. Yeah, that felt like you actually wrote that, Brian. So I read the whole thing. Yeah, it's cool. If you guys want to talk about your religion in chat, feel free. Is there a specific reason why you're fasting? Who knows? I don't know, stress or just it's good. It's good for you. It's a different way, fasting. It's not like some like holy retreat, but it's a different way the brain and the mind works. Newfound for me, it's easier to have a different food. It might be kind of gross to cook it, but yeah. So I did a lot of what's it called? Intermittent fasting, a few days a week I tried when I was switching over to, like more plant-based foods and stuff. Yeah. Bro, you need more subscribers. I just subscribed. I respect the hustle. Wrestling News, I appreciate you. Wrestling News, sounds like you yourself are on the grind. So cool. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. I hope y'all are doing good. I hope your audience is also happy if you are on YouTube. That's my like one piece of advice for people doing YouTube, either just getting started, with a big goal in mind or something or not, using something like Google Analytics tells you who your audience is. This overcomes quite a bit, actually. Google on Google Studio, and I'll only cover this for a second, just because there's a lot of people chatting or a couple people chatting. But yeah, if I only have a smartphone to stream with right now, I have I have a desktop. It's not like a streaming editing desktop. I don't have any of the fancy hardware. And I have to use a mic on there. And this is just a great format for me too. But if I was not making excuses and I was just curious, well, it's like, that's interesting. I can see how old people that want to watch my videos are. I can see where they're from in the world. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, obviously it's a very small channel still, bigger than some very small subscribers, but way smaller than, Soy Pill, he's got 130,000. So people that attract diverse audiences and stuff like that, kind of choose where you get your information from, how you can be successful with the stuff you have. And that's it. Yeah. So hopefully the future is optimistic. Let's do some encouragement. Blue Hue in chat says, obviously in chat, where else would he be? But fasting can help your body redirect its energy towards things other than digestion, like regeneration. Yeah. Our bodies are recycling machines too. So, I'm not a, what's it called? Like exercise phys person really, but like our kidneys and stuff. So, if you might not think it's that important that during a fast you lost 0.01 pounds of muscle or something, or during your workout, but your kidneys sure think that's important. Boy, those amino acids, and so, yeah, it's a balance because your stomach, and so both sides of the coin, to Blue Hue's point, I think there's a ton of benefits. People like Peter Attia say there's a ton of benefits. Joe Rogan will talk about it. And just while that's happening, for me, my brain, my stomach, all of these things that are involved with like hormones and stuff like that, like, oh my God, I don't want to seem too sort of weak-willed, but yeah, whatever works is actually cool. Shavers terrify this man. So does soap. Yeah. That's pretty funny. I'll clean up for you guys one day. I'll clean up for everyone one day. You guys will see. I'll take the sides down a little bit. I have an old Hugo Boss, very famous Italian designer. I have a Hugo Boss jacket, right? That I bought at a thrift store. So that's pretty sick. The cut, I mean, you can tell with the cut. So, hell yeah, or something. Yeah, hell yeah. 35% of the world's products get bought by America. Without us, they would not thrive. We shouldn't allow them to rip us off. Yeah, the United States has their own sort of economics and needs and stuff like that. I obviously sound American, and that's because I am American. And yeah, it also takes responsibility. If I see it differently between the economics and the culture side, right? And so one thing I would say to challenge Jim's comment, Jim, I would say that, well, yeah, if we have a culture of buying stuff we don't need, and really even if like the bigger forces and stuff, like don't worry about it. But if the bigger stuff is also going towards that, it's like, what else is new? The sky's falling. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So Aaron O'Neill, how you doing? Pat says 666. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but fasting, someone mentioned fasting, spending a little more time on just different metabolic processes. That one stuck in my head a little bit. So it's cool. I get to try and make it through the night and focus on stuff. The Bogues Green Wanderer says, tuning in from Tasmania. That's very cool. I know almost nothing about your country, which sucks. And so, yeah, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for joining the chat and the stream. Dan Bob says, I'm not going to subscribe. Sorry. At least you're apologizing. You apologize. I couldn't say something better or worse about that. Truly, I mean that. Do you ride mountain bikes? I used to, yeah. I only went mountain biking once. I used to ride bikes. I love bikes. Bikes are so sick. Everybody's got different bikes, on eBay and Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. No joke. My like dream for this channel, this is how small-minded and pea-brained I am. Like, I would love to one day put up a banner and be like, "Hey, chat, why don't you guys buy me a bike?" You know, that's my dream, is to have a good road bike again, and be able to afford to actually ride it. A lot of time, upkeep, stuff like that. Yeah, when I had a good job, I didn't care about it at all, which is good and bad. But yeah, I'm just starting out. I'm a bit of a redneck bogan, similar to Turtle Man with a twist. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, my biggest, what I would say is, if you can join open panels, put content out there, get to that 50 subscribers to go live. One of the things to just kind of look out for is that, like, you don't know exactly the content you're going to make. You don't know if it's going to go the distance you want it to. It's different to ask, like, it's different to say, I know this is what's going to work for people to subscribe or to engage the content or to share it on social media. So I think a lot of people take big swings. I don't want to knock them, but that's my, like, when I see an injustice in the world, right? I'm a great American capitalist. When I see an injustice in the world, I think a lot of times it's that, people take too small goals. Let's go, Aaron. Thank you. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'm gonna like this just so more people can see you not finish a thought. Hey, that's cool with me. That's cool with me. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate your style too. Yeah, the Bogue Screen Wanderer. Yeah, at some point, if I start a Discord, maybe just I'll have probably just one thread, right? Not the whole Discord. There are Discords where people doing like the panel verse. There's people from all over the world, right? I go to this one guy's stream. I jump up on his stage sometimes. He's from Tenerife, out off the coast of Spain. I subscribe to this other chick from South Africa. I'm on, predictive history, really nerdy political science one. But yeah, Discord's a good place to sort of meet people and stuff too, that share an audience, share a style, and just get reps. And kind of make sense of it at some point in time. Right? So it looks very much like a safe space for wokes. Heck yeah. Yeah, safe space for everyone. Who knows? We'll do more opinionated streams at some point. You guys know I don't back away from a fight. If you guys have a question, if you guys have a comment or a concern, and you guys have a topic you want to focus on, you want me to focus on that topic, I'll happily oblige them. Yes, sir. No problem. I just got there. What are you talking about? Sadia Mohammed Amine. Sorry if I said that wrong, but yeah, we are talking about if the future is optimistic or not. The future is optimistic or not. I think the future is optimistic. I think it has to be optimistic. So Trace Parallax says, what do you think about the president and his efforts on the economy or world as we know it? Optimistic as to where the world is going, neutral. Okay, I got to read this again. What do you think about the president and his effects on the economy or world as we know it? I'm just gonna recycle old stuff. I think Donald Trump as a president hasn't done a lot to set up the economy to do more than it was just going to do anyways. I don't think he set up geopolitics to do better than it was just supposed to do otherwise. And so I think it's actually a really complicated question. The simple answer is when we put descriptors on things like better, slower, faster, more or less distributed, more or less accessible. It can sound like we're talking about technocracy, but I'm truly not just saying Donald Trump didn't plan the world economy. I'm saying it doesn't feel to me like there's enough transparency to believe that over the last 4 years leading up to his now what will be a 4-year presidency, I don't actually believe that Donald Trump's been involved with enough. I don't believe he has. I don't want to get too autistic or anything on it, and I hate saying that word, but the reason I say that is just, we don't know enough. Donald Trump's been decisive, Donald Trump's been decisive, but the ultimate gauge of that is going to be how does Bank of America do stuff, right? What this is what I'm going to eventually ask you guys. I'm going to say, well, Bank of America and Google and Chase Manhattan and whatever other big U.S. company you want to talk about, Ford Motor Co. Right? If you guys want the woke stuff, are they treating their employees right? Are they growing? They're providing jobs. They are stable. They're able to be honest in public markets. What? That's all I'm eventually going to say to you guys. So, yeah, I think Sophie 14 is talking about Donald Trump. I will do my best to try. Yeah, one of the things I am angry at MAGA about is just what seems like this giant, almost psyop to make people feel bad about their own political beliefs, and to, yeah, it's so hard to find people that are actually good faith about talking about politics. That's kind of the weak stuff, right? Because a person really into the topic will go find stuff. So I partially believe that, yeah, Donald Trump's got a hard job. He's communicating global realities to people. On the other side of things, he isn't really, in my view, he hasn't really been out there doing a lot of stuff. Do you duck hunt? From Hillbilly Who Can? No, I just like ducks. I used to have a Ducks Unlimited, a little like bronze duck that I wanted a Ducks Unlimited event when I was a kid, right? My dad was a hunter. He went to this Ducks Unlimited charity auction, because he wanted to go to the auction. It was a social thing my dad could do, right? So, and the other side of this was, yeah, they were auctioning off a shotgun or something. He wanted a shotgun at the time. But yeah, no, I don't duck hunt. I'm actually vegan. My old CEO used to duck hunt. He would go out once a year with his grandpa to like Minnesota or someplace. Ducks migrate through Minnesota and stuff. BBC. Yeah, BBC is a good broadcast. I know Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry's a great actor, comedian. He's on BBC. Yeah, there are like, yeah, if you're in the UK, BBC, Al Jazeera, I think Al Jazeera English is in the UK and stuff too. I like Al Jazeera. I sub to Al Jazeera. The last couple of days, like obviously I don't like all of the third party correspondence for war stuff. I don't mind watching war stuff, because war sucks like that much that it's worth watching it. A big Noam Chomsky fan. But yeah. What was your experience? Hey GT, good to see you again. Good to see you tonight or whatever. How is your experience like when switching your eating habits? Did you lose muscle, gain energy, lose weight, etc.? Yeah, so I was skinny. The word is skinny fat is the way people describe it when I started working out. So I both gained muscle and lost weight. I was 235 when I started. 235 to 240, I would guess, is actually what it was. So yeah, my body was transforming because of obesity, which is cool. I wasn't used to that. So I didn't know how to handle myself in that situation. But when I started losing weight, yeah, some of the stuff that like I used to know or be familiar with came back. Before it didn't, whatever. And then the other, yeah. And so that's it. Gain energy. Yeah, gain a little energy. And then, when I got comfortable, I might spend 2 to 3 months with a certain number of calories or diet, kind of ballparking it. Like I was good. I knew not to lie to myself. I knew not to pay attention to it. That's how beer and cheeseburgers was how I got, overweight in the first place. But yeah. Name dropping Hugo Boss as the official dresser of the Nazis does nothing for us. Hey, Halal is 101. How you doing? I'm doing well. I'm trying to do a futures optimistic kind of stream or whatever it is. How are you doing? Hopefully good. Hopefully well. Cruz, hey, what's up? Cruz, good to see you. Yo, where your dad at? Where your mom at? I don't know. I got lots of moms and dads. I'm a child of the world. Gaia, Earth Mother. That's something to be optimistic about. There's your and other people's mothers and fathers who themselves have no choice but to be optimistic. So okay, I'll do that too. I'll do that too. Where do I think Hitler's at? Yeah, he is definitely passed away. Trying to fight some other time. Am I way down on chat messages? Hey, Radical Coder is here. Ryan is here. Ryan's got a very cool channel. If you want to learn about technology, talk about technology, that's probably the destination I would recommend you to. Yeah, you guys don't need Marquise Brownlee. Marquise Brownlee has used the same Sennheiser mic. You want to actually talk to Radical Coder about the tech and the code and his worldview and stuff. So good to see him. I'm going to scroll down and chat a little bit. Ibrahim Bashara, hello from a Palestinian Christian from Ramallah in West Bank. Blessings to USA and prayers for peace with my Israeli brother. The Islamist extremists make it impossible for peace. I hope it comes soon. Yeah, I hope peace for you guys as well, right? You know? Yeah. I appreciate that there's still people in Palestine despite Israeli escalations based on whatever it is. Obviously, I'm sure at this point you are way more knowledgeable than I am, and you're way more knowledgeable than I am to talk about it or something. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I appreciate some of the folks that are still out doing social media, finding a way to charge their devices. That kind of stuff are doing almost as good of a job or better of a job than some of the news agencies, in my view, who can't just say that, well, look, as it turns out, there's a number of people in Israel who had contingency plans to do this for the last decade. And at the same time, there are people in Al-Qassam or whoever they are that will not just say, we can't fight. And so I'm not saying but it's like those are the people who would need to change their minds. Those are the people that would be able to understand that there's not a less that's less than less, right? There's not a less that's less than less. There's no story lesson that anyone would vote on their family from this. So plentiful tugging, Kurt Miller. Yeah, that's something to be optimistic about. Vegan, I'm plant-based. I don't know, you can eat a big bowl of lentils and rice and all this stuff, and you don't have to worry about calories when you're vegan. So the other thing is, the other thing is, just animal ethics. I think it's easier to think about ethical and moral and worldview questions when you're comfortable with your choices. So that's one of the reasons why at some point maybe we will on the channel. If you guys want to do a carnivore versus vegan debate or something, we can do a pay-per-view fight or something. You guys can find your best carnivore, a boxer or something, and I'll do a YouTube boxing match. No, but if you guys want to do a debate or something sometime, it's just the reason I don't do that is I think it's easier if I have a question about politics, let me be comfortable with my choices first, and that's it. It's hard to own a whole choice. It's hard to own a whole perspective. Perspective is such an important woke leftist word, isn't it? But yeah, and so it's also useful, I think, in those cases to talk to people from the side of MAGA, right? Let's have an open dialogue. I know MAGA isn't anti-vegan or vegan. Generally where I get some of that criticism is from that side. And so, well, if I have to understand your worldview about food so I can eat my diet in peace, well, what are we actually talking about? We're actually arguing about arguing in the first place. I don't mean to warp your brain. Does it warp your brain, man? Have you found the hidden code yet? I don't think I have. It's in there. I need to warp your brain voice. Al Jazeera is actually a decent source. Yeah, Al Jazeera has Al Jazeera. What they do is they're very fast to bring on academics from all different disciplines. They've done a great job building a network of contributors. If you're in the West, you might think, well, these people sound like extremists or Marxists or something like this. And a lot of that is just that you might not understand the political views fully, the politics or the philosophy or perspective. But that's not always the case either. Some Al Jazeera English is really easy to watch. You don't need to have a master's degree. You don't have to turn your brain off. So who knows? It's a higher energy way to get the news if you're used to CNN or Fox or whatever it is. War is necessary, says Lou City 2. War is necessary. Yep. Yeah. So nothing to see here, says optimism a la Steven Pinker. Is the world getting better? Yeah, better angels. Very cool. Propaganda from billionaires. The youths can yell, it's all going to shit. Yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, Steven Pinker is interesting. He talks about the evolutionary psychology. And, the basic argument ultimately reduces down, like, evolutionary psychology is weird. I don't know that much about it. Neuroscience is cool. I read a book on the brain once, but it basically reduces down to, well, once you put humans in a society, they make more moral choices. It might not always seem like it when you're watching The Worst of the Worst and stuff like that, but what our brains actually do and how we choose to relate to one another is society attempts to get more moral. They try to find solutions. They try to be optimistic. And so for me and stuff like that, it's always really cool because it's like, maybe I can't actually bite off or understand the whole of an answer for something, not at any point in time. And so, whatever. Yeah, I'll get the rest of it later. Let me just get the main brunt of the idea. Hey, Suresh Strong says hello. Hey, Suresh, sorry. It's good to see you. It's very good to see you. Good to see you, Suresh. Sky Shite 66. Yeah, buddy. All right, let's go. I am skinny fetish. Yeah. So my experience was doing a lot of functional workouts, even carrying around 10 or 12 pound weights. People think you look like a whatever, but yeah, it doesn't make sense if your body's not used to moving a ton of weight around to move around like, 50 pound weights. Don't do something totally out of the ordinary and just, if you're not obviously GT's not asking for advice, but Egg Addict says about the core topic, everybody. Yeah. Egg Addict says the world is improving and getting worse all the time. Look at both sides. It's not propaganda. Talk about the good that's happening all in the world. Yeah, that's a good point. The way I read that is like, well, if I talk to maybe a preacher or someone doing charity work, right, or a scientist who's trying to solve a critical problem for a society, well, what is their sort of gauge on the temperature? What's their feel about how close we are to a solution? Those are all really important questions, and at some point, it almost even you have to say it cuts through the noise a little bit. And Donald Trump, his own opinion, or Vladimir Putin, their opinions don't matter, right? President Xi's opinion doesn't matter. That's a good one. We could probably do a whole show on that topic. That's cool. Jesus is the truth and will keep you happy. Hello, how's life with you? Thank you for asking, Dark Nosh. My life is good. It's good, yeah. I have nothing I could possibly complain about. Emmanuel Hamilton says, trust me on this. Oh, what's that? Amber's here. What's up? What's up? Just so you know, I didn't make you a mod so you could comment on my videos and stuff like that. And say with that in chat. It wasn't like a mind game or something, but Trace Parallax says, honestly, everything will work out. It has to in the world. And I do agree. Further, if you think that there's a potential erosion, do you think, do you think that there's a potential erosion of core political rights like freedom of expression and association? So we're losing political rights in this image. This is what the world would be like. We'd be losing political rights, while at the same time, people are spending their maybe day-to-days building stuff that's useful for people, it's better for people, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't overly characterize the world as necessarily being about political rights like freedom of expression and association being lost. I think we still have the same constitutions, the same governments. I think people can still take a step back from the question and ask what the basic social and economic structure looks like. And I think people have more freedom today than they did in the past. And I think in a lot of the world, that still isn't contingent on the technology or the access to power, or you have an army, stuff like that. So that's how I would answer that. GTGT says, I should go vegan, but I can't be bothered looking into how to cook vegan dishes. I settled for being a pescatarian. Yeah, fish and chips. I used to eat a ton of fish and chips. There was a little local brewery by my apartment back in the day. So, and the brewery had fish and chips Fridays. Very good. They didn't do like unlimited fish and chips, which was good because I would have eaten it at that time. I would have eaten unlimited food, but they did have, you would get like a free beer or something, right? They'd charge you a penny for your beer if you bought fish and chips. So I would have fish and chips and like 3 beers. I love meat and dairy too much to go vegan. Cool. Cool. Hello, everyone. I think I'm way behind on. Oh, Tracer. Hey, Ducky, missed you. I missed you guys too. I wasn't gonna stream tonight. I was watching someone else on YouTube, and chatting in Discord with people. That's how internet I am. That's how internet and not real world I am. But yeah, I ended up charging my phone, got up to 23%, and yeah, and who knows? I was like, whatever. Al Jazeera is bad. Not good, but you can have your opinion. Some good on Al Jazeera, but mostly it's Qatar propaganda. I absolutely hate it, but that's okay. We can disagree. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of the sort of worldview stuff on Al Jazeera. I don't like, and it's not because I think like anything that's not American liberal free is wrong. It's that I don't know personally if people placed that conversation appropriately in the first place. That's kind of like one of the mods, Amber, said, it's a real challenge for many of us to have the courage to face our own convictions. I think that's an example of what having a conviction or perspective, or to have the courage of our own opinion. Yeah, and authenticity. I don't know if I said authenticity. I don't think I did. But yeah, so my own sort of perspective or about convictions is that, yeah, be honest about how you feel about something. And if you don't know how you feel about it, or you don't know why you feel a certain way about it, you can't prove it. You can't write about it. And that's nerdy American college boy logic, right? This is being 35 and wishing I still could just go to college or something full time. But like, I would if I could write 3 paragraphs on Al Jazeera versus the US news, and I could just do this off the top of my head or with a quick Google search, finding a couple citations, I'd be happy about it. Oh, what up? Alicia's here. Hello, Miss Alicia. Miss, whatever. It's just Alicia. Good to see you. I think Ducks makes yeah. Only the hardcore stuff. I won't even make a joke about this one. Only the really hardcore stuff for me. I am. I've been not an adrenaline junkie, but fearless. So I think if I don't have something new to do every once in a while, then I get bored. It's not like I have to go be the center of attention all the time or something like that, right? But yeah. So hard Drugas. Vic says Zed. Cool. Vic also says sugar and water. We were talking about, I'm fasting right now, Vic. Oh shoot. Yeah, Alicia, good luck with that. I don't know how to, I think if I remember correctly, it's not your first rodeo. Yeah, not your first rodeo on it, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how any parents have a normal sleep schedule, so aw. Amber's hyping up the channel. Hype train. Let me show you guys how this is done. So Amber says that my channel is dope, and there's not a pun intended. It is not because of the way I look. And yeah, if you guys want to like and subscribe, it means a lot. It's cool to see you guys here. I'm trying not to waste people's time, right? We at least tried titling the stream that the future is optimistic. I love talking about stuff like that. I don't mind talking about the news of the day. Yeah, and I'm trying to be a little bit 10% researched and stuff on that. 10% more open than some of the other channels. And yeah, and it's cool. Yeah, we'll have to figure out this business when, on my end, it only says 15 people are watching, but that's 15 living souls, 15 breathing souls. If it was 5, that would be 5 whole people, folks. And so, yeah, I'll try and keep up with comments and we'll figure out some other things. Someone else said start a Discord. I don't know. Alicia again. Hello, Alicia again. Ducks Y, is there a pressing topic you have in mind, something no one's brought up yet, about going to college again? Start an ongoing conversation with an LLM like ChatGPT or Gemini. Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a McKinsey idea, right? That sounds like a McKinsey idea. If you have a complex problem to solve, why wouldn't you start by going to ChatGPT and sort of being sure that you're not going to decide on one topic or something, right? You're not going to decide on one solution. And so, yeah, I think one of my challenges with sort of the collegiate, the sentiment around college these days is that, yeah, a lot of the times people don't have the optionality, the choice. And a lot of the times people just also don't have they don't have the ability to get everything out of a college education until they're older in life. I didn't realize until I was 30 how much I learned, how quickly, college prepared me to learn a new topic, how important it is in the adult world to be able to quickly synthesize information and then make it about something that's real and not just theory, right? Did we do this stuff the right way? So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, snap, you put the glasses on. Yeah, this is self-soothing. This is my self-soothing is probably my beard and glasses. A little Howard Hughes. If you guys want to, I'll let you guys, I'll ban you guys for 24 hours if I get annoyed of it, but I won't ban anyone if you guys want to call me Howard Hughes or something. It's a great historical reference. The Spruce Goose. The Spruce Goose. You guys want to talk about nothing? You guys are just trying to keep me away from talking about the future being optimistic. I really want to have a good go at that one. At least sometime in my life. Before the stream ends, I want to have a coherent opinion personally. Minions. Yeah. You guys can what's the term? Glow up or glaze Alicia and Amber. Well, I don't know if Alicia's would be allowed to hop on voice. If Bob's here. Yeah, you guys can glow up or glaze the mods. So if one day we do an open panel, they can tell you why the future is optimistic, or they can just say Duck doesn't know anything. EOS hemp factor. Oh, whoops. Two-way stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. That's like really deep non-normie stuff too, is yeah, people can ask about if the world is safer, not because there's less weapons, but because the way that large militaries in the world and people with access to sort of firearms at the state or political level, if they interact with each other differently, how would you know? How would that be the case? Why? What do you think about it? Like, honestly, what's your opinion about it? I think those are cool questions. But yeah. I can't get over Trump just saying that we are done with Epstein after all the media and promises were annoying. Yeah, heck yeah, 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 yeah. It's really hard. There's people like Tucker Carlson that made an entire new career, completely different, out of that Jeffrey Epstein story. There's people like Tucker Carlson. There's people like Steve Bannon that got hired because he told people that we can go tell stories like this. And yeah, I think people that were in MAGA are fine, right? They're in the audience now. They're watching it. And it's also, there seems like there's an injustice that was a slight injustice that was done. It would be really difficult for me to shake that opinion. Yeah, Elon Musk bought a company. So a billionaire in our country was allowed to buy a company based largely on the fact that their users loved spreading conspiracy theories, and that's why they use the platform so much. It's wild. Someone saw an economic opportunity in buying a technology that helps people lie to people. So who knows? Maybe you think it's a big cover up. I think it goes the opposite direction. I think there's very wealthy, powerful people. I think there's people that think they're wealthy and powerful, but they're lying to themselves. Now you're successful. Now you're lying to yourself. Now you're Tucker Carlson on Fox News. Now you're Tucker Carlson on YouTube. You're paying a developer to build a membership module on your own website. That is, to me, not unforgivable, but it's unignorable. It's unignorable. The files were in IRL MacGuffin. I don't know what a MacGuffin is. Hell yeah, Joe Balls. We got 24 people with taters in the brain watching. I love taters. I love taters in my brain. Pick up a potato. Pick up a potato. I don't have any good stuff right now, but yeah, be nice to each other, guys. We have 24. We were up to 30 viewers for a second. And do like and subscribe, or don't. I don't care. I don't actually care. I do. If you're being cool in chat, I want you to subscribe, but yeah, Tracer's right. Yeah, that internal running dialogue. Yeah, I don't know. The outside world's so boring. Yeah, who knows? It's really interesting. For a big topic like I think we have to, right? I think we have to be able to talk to people about big topics like if the future is optimistic. We want to hear that social feedback about guys like Jeffrey Epstein, guys like Donald Trump. These people are rubbing elbows. You hear these horrible stories. You hear these narratives that almost can't be true. And yet, in your heart of hearts, some part of this story is true, or it's true for some reason. And at the end of all this, you can almost, for me personally, I think I would drive myself crazy trying to understand what's actually going on. Who's involved? Who are these people that I'm supposed to know about? Who are the people? What are their motivations? what sort of ideas have they tried in the past prior to whatever, whether or not it might not be Epstein, right? Could be a guy like Homan. I know, Steve Homan, whatever it is, the ice guy. I know he was a lawyer before that. He's run law enforcement agencies or groups before. So, what is he bringing to the table? Why is he the part of the problem solver or something like that? Alexandre Ebrolidze. Sorry, I don't know how to say Alexandre Ebrolidze. You look like Rasputin. Why should I believe you? You don't have to believe me. That's the easiest answer. Did you want me to say something else? Yeah, my name's Duck. My real name is Nathan Swift. I post content on YouTube. I like talking about politics. I like talking about theory. And that's it. Yes, if I can be a search engine for you or something, I'm happy to do that as well. Happy to do that as well. Happy to do that as well. Alexandre is now part of our channel, guys. Say something someone can believe, right? Do you like ducks? Benji, I love ducks. Yes, I love ducks. I am God. Are you scared to talk about how the two largest hate groups are black and outnumber every white hate group combined? Yeah. Yeah, am I scared to talk about that? No. I've argued with Rob Noor. I don't know if you guys know Rob Noor. I think he posted it on his channel. He's not that big of a YouTuber, but he's got like 12,000 subscribers. He does a lot of. He's a former master's degree, collegiate or professional debate coach. He studied communication, so he's a great debater. But he and I talked about Black Lives Matter in the past, and so yeah, if you're gonna start with saying, "Are you scared?" I would say I don't understand what that totally means. I don't know what I would say back to that. But yeah, it seems like it puts a lot of the focus on my emotions, right? If you ask me that if I'm going to be scared about something, well, why not? Like, I'll just tell you my preference would be you just ask me about the topic. I don't know why I have to explain that. I don't get scared talking to people. If I have time to research the topic, that's even better than just going with what I already know. But I think what I know is good enough to not be scared. And you said, are you scared to talk about? Yeah, so you asked me if I'm scared to talk. So be more specific, please. Be more specific if you're going to be domineering in that way. What is that? That's the HDR camera or something? I just pressed a stupid button. Oops. Soap. Yep, usually is. Oh, cool. I didn't know Amber Sand was what's it called? I think I did actually know that you were homophobic, but you're saying some smart things, so you shouldn't be a moderator though. Yeah, be a different person if you're going to be a moderator. Good to see everyone. Hey, Johnny the Monkey King, Jerry Carter. I thought you monks didn't use the internet. I don't mind the internet. I don't mind the internet. Yeah. Right speech. Do you guys know Buddhism? Who knows? That's maybe like fasting. So we were talking earlier. I told everybody I'm on a 20-hour fast right now. Maybe that's why people are saying I'm speaking incoherently. I'm not talking about things in the real world, but yeah, I'm on about, I think, hour 20. I don't know. Not that big of a deal. But that's one of the things about when the future changes and we should be optimistic. Well, something that's not going to change is fasting. Something that's also not going to change is religion. Buddhists will always talk about right speech, right intention, and right action. Those are all three good things, right? The Buddhists know that most people just aren't going to meditate under, some mustard tree or something like this. And so what do you do when you're actually in the world? What are you doing when meaning, which is just what it is, as much as it isn't, is meaning just as it is, as much as it isn't, is now you're still forcing yourself to act. You actually have to act because of this. And it's more likely that it's more difficult to not hurt living creatures, or to speak truthfully, or to speak in a way that's consistent with what people say is a self or a purpose or something like that. However you make sense of it. Yeah. And so that's something to be optimistic about. Yeah, Tracer, it's the fasting. I got too high bicep peaks, bro. So I cut the calories for the last 20, and then maybe the next 10 hours, next hour. I don't know. Is there even a real world? That's a great question. I was just arguing about that on Discord with somebody. Yeah, the words we say, the type of knowledge that you can have, is it all just subjective? Does that even make sense to say that it's subjective? That implies that we can almost communicate between ourselves. Yeah, if you're not talking about anything. Yeah. But like the word real often means that what we're able to talk about in the real world. Well, like, look, I know a function when I start my car, right? I start my car, it sends an electrical charge to the spark plugs or something, and the car starts. Yeah, just a little bit of fuel goes in, and then at that point, the total electronics outside of the ignition system kick on, and my car gets a consistent stream of fuel. And yeah, and everybody's car works that way. Everybody who has a combustion car, at least, everybody's car works that way. But that's like a function in the world, right? That doesn't tell you what the car actually is. It doesn't tell you what the car is. It tells you that there's maybe going to be a history behind it, or praxis, some action that creates reality, or it doesn't. It doesn't. What about the sun? If the sun is turning all the time and nobody sees it, does the sun create a history? That sounds sort of weird to say, that the sun creates history. Really trippy stuff. Trippy stuff. Jesus Christ died on the cross for you and your sins. If you believe in him, you will be granted eternal life. Cool. Cool. The sun creates history? Yeah. So that's one way to view the world, is that there's not only just a present moment. And so if in like the normal way we talk about knowledge, it's not even about causality, but if I see a wall is red, I would imagine somebody painted that wall red. I would imagine that the wall itself, not the causal chain that it took to get there, right? You go to the store, you buy a paintbrush, you pick out the paint, you mix the paint, you go, you put your eyes on the wall, you put your hand on the brush, you paint the wall red. Right? That's like a causal chain or something. I don't need to know that. If I read something or see something that there's a red wall, and I see a picture that it was white, well, yeah, there's a red wall, but the way that red wall got there is it became a wall first. Something had to change to become the wall. The stuff, the only stuff that there is, went from white to red at some point. There was a wall. There's not really that much of another story, right? I I didn't change who the wall is. That's a good way to say it. If I'm the painter, I didn't change who the wall is because I went out and picked out a paintbrush and I'm painting this wall now, right? I'll use my glasses as a paintbrush. Tom Sawyering, folks. Huck Finn. Yeah. And so there's a famous Italian communist. He was put in prison. He died in prison, I think, named, what is it, Mario or Marco Gramsci. He talked about history creating reality. Hegel sort of does this too. But yeah, that's an important idea, is that if there's a red wall, that wall had to have been constructed some way. And my psychology, knowing that I picked up a paintbrush, isn't actually what changed the wall, right? The wall has its own story. And so if the sun has a solar flare or something, there were ions, or there was some energy or something, whatever, some level of fusion, fission, all this stuff happening in the sun. Adult ADHD? Hell yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't want to debate, what do you guys want to talk about? You guys want to see some artwork real quick? I can show you guys some artwork. Don't go anywhere. This is the new Duck. If Duck has to go anywhere, this is Michael Jordan's flu game. You guys see that? It's very cool. There's the artist's name or whatever. There's some artwork, folks. There's artwork for hard work and yard work. I can show you guys some basketball cards. You guys want to see basketball cards? For real, global warming is a bunch of BS. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's a blocked message. I think people can be against PDF files and stuff. Like if you see child sex crimes and stuff like that, you can be against that, and you can still try to apply your same standard of justice for them, right? There's a smaller aspect of the story of how someone got into a situation or why they have a certain psychology. It doesn't change that there's forensic psychologists and there's criminal forensic psychologists, right? There's both things. And so, yeah, I don't think that makes you yourself. I think someone asking a question about a topic they are uncomfortable with or whatever. We've tried debating, bro. You skipped those comments. You did the same thing the other day when we were talking to you. Whoops. Johnny the Monkey. Yeah, let me know, Aaron. I'll keep an eye out now. From to Tom Sawyer means to get some dupes to do the work for you, a la whitewashing the fence. Yeah. If you guys have cool stuff, if you guys have trinkets, Alicia is right. Show and tell time. You guys have trinkets or doodads or shindigs, stuff like that, or whatever. Ducks, about debating. Are you about to talk about your triggers if you have any on any subjects? It looks like our other channel mates think you're avoidant on topics they bring up. Yeah, I mean, I'll debate you guys if you guys actually want to do debates at some point in time. I'm telling you, it's going to be a waste of time. Are you guys going to spend an hour or 2 hours preparing for a debate? If you guys just want to talk and chat and stuff, that's cool. I'll do, who knows, maybe tomorrow night we'll do an open panel or something. I'll do a mobile stream and then kick it over to, if you guys want to, if anyone wants to, anyone wants to do Marxism versus capitalism, or like topics like that. We can do a bunch of short debates. This is why we troll you, because you won't have an intelligent conversation about a topic. Yeah. Intelligence only, or, action only, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, Mark Twain, great writer. Great writer. Mark Twain, one of the great satirists, one of the great writers. It's hard to write simple stuff that works. Very difficult. Very difficult. Legalize the pot for sure. All right. Jail wasn't very nice to my cellmate. Was doing 27 years. Whew. People say that's a stretch, right? What does that even mean? That's tough. That is difficult. That is a stretch. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Not right back, but right back. I ain't going anywhere. I ain't going anywhere. Oh. What is it? Kendrick Lamar talked about the nicotine. Yeah. I have a ton of a ton of respect for people who go to prison, who didn't do it, who are able to manage that experience. I'm sure everybody sees that very differently and all this other stuff. Yeah, irrespective of the crime at whatever point in time it happened or whatever, it's like, well, you're still in prison and you have a stretch of time or something. So, yeah, I think the prison system, I think it's almost like definitive that too little communication oversight of private prisons doesn't result in what the goal of what a prison sentence is supposed to be, right? And so that's the weird sort of rock in the hard place that we have to be able to deal with, is that you're going to have judges that say, well, I want to speak rudely and say mean things to people when I sentence them. And at the same time, I want to give them, whatever I'm allowed to. It's weird to think that a judge has to take into account the internment system when they are sentencing someone. So, I don't know if you're asking for that kind of stuff or whatever, but yeah, that stuff's fun to talk about. I would love to do a debate on that, or a discussion on that stuff sometime too. Discussion or debate. It's kind of depending on what folks could bring and for who. Yeah, that's one of my trigger topics, I think. I think if I hear people talking about something involving justice, the word justice for someone else, if I don't believe they're being good faith, that one makes me angry. That one makes me a little more willing to do some work, makes me a little more upset. But I also think those types of hard conversations can be a lot more impactful, more fruitful, way more fruitful, guys. So, yeah, we can talk and debate. We can talk and debate too. Yeah, thank you, Alicia. By the way, you guys thank the mods for being here. I know we're missing Bob. We've got one other mod. I forgot his PFP, his handle and stuff. But for a YouTube live stream, I would just have a link, right? Instead of I've got one message pinned up that says retracted. I would just pin up a channel link, and I could bring one or more than one person up to the stage at a time. And yeah, you have to be really good at knowing, whoops. You just have to be really good at knowing when to talk, or I will scold you. I will be mad at you. Yeah, me, the autistic guy who doesn't understand the flow of conversations. I'm going to be the one that's managing the pace of the conversation. So, no, those are cool. If you guys haven't done an open panel or talked on the internet, they're a lot of fun. They're not that hard.